Welcome back, fifth graders. Time for your lesson 5, vocabulary. And we are going to begin today with the word heroic. And heroic is an adjective, and it is found on page 21 in your text. I'm going to read it from the text here. It's actually in the triumph box. I'm hoping that you are finding it in the text as well so that you can read the sentence that goes along with the word heroic. Scott and his men made a heroic effort in terrible conditions. Even though their equipment did not work, they still managed to reach the pole. In fact, some of them almost made it back. And so the word that we had there was heroic. And when we look at what that might mean, they made a heroic effort in terrible conditions. We know it's describing the type of effort that they made. And I also see that it's probably dealing with the word hero because that's a main part of that word. So I'm going to think that it is an effort like a hero would make, would be maybe my prediction. And it in fact says that it's brave or courageous. That would be something that is heroic, like a hero would do. And those morphological links are heroic or heroically if you were going to use an adverb to describe an action. Heroically would be the way that you did that. The sample sentence says, the heroic acts of the firefighters saved the lives of the building occupants. When you're writing your own sentence here, remember you want to use good context clues. I bet you could think of a lot of people right now who are being out there being heroic in face of the dangers that are all over the world. So you could write a creative sentence dealing with that. Please pause this video and write your own sentence with great context. Our next word is the word Aboriginal, and it is an adjective. It is going to be describing something. It's found on page 23. Go ahead and turn to page 23 in your text. And Aboriginal, I have found it in the Claiming Australia area, and I'm going to read from that text. It's an area that's in parentheses here. And so I'm going to try to read what's before that as well, because oftentimes we have to read sentences and words around that sentence to get an idea of what the context is. It says that Captain James Cook had reached the coastline of eastern Australia in 1970 and made contact with the people who lived there. We now call these people Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people. However, the British also knew that there was no government, army, or police force, so they decided to claim the land as their own. So they made contact with people who were on Australia already, and they were known as Aboriginal people is what they call them. And so if those people were already there, those Aboriginal people, and it has the word original in it, that's kind of what I'm seeing there, we might find that that word means, my screen's going a little bit slow here. Sorry, some technical problems there. It means people that are native to that area, the people who were there first, like the people who first lived there. That would be considered native people, and oftentimes they're called Aborigines. And as we talked about earlier, the word original or origin is found in that word as well, so that's a good morphological link for you to write down in your own packet. My sample sentence says, when the settlers arrived, they found Aboriginal people had already inhabited the land. Those people were already there when they got there. Go ahead and pause the video and write your own sentence with great context. Oh, I'm sorry, you're back. I was just taking a drink there. You had me frozen before that. So, our next word is the word indigenous, and it is an adjective. It is found on page 25. I am opening my text as you should be as well. And in the or trouble section on page 25, I found the word indigenous at the start of the last paragraph. It says, today, indigenous Australians make up about 3% of the population. For the most part, they have not shared in Australia's modern wealth, and they are among the country's poorest people. So we know that they're people that are in Australia. In this section up above, I read it, it was talking about the Aboriginals, who we know are the original people to live there. And so I'm going to guess that it's very similar to Aboriginal. So indigenous, and it is very similar. It's native or original as well, a different way to describe them. And my sample sentence says, the indigenous people of North America were mistakenly called Indians. So if you remember back when the first people came to what we now call the United States or North America, they thought they had landed in India, and so they called them Indians, which was completely wrong, but we continued for a long time to call them Indians. We now should call them Native Americans, meaning that they were the indigenous people who were here. They were native to this land before Europeans came over and brought them lots of diseases, and just sort of like in Australia with the Aboriginal people who lived there. So write your own good sentence with context clues, and I will give you a moment to do that. Pause the video, please. All right, for your right and response reading section, it says, what do you think is the author's point of view about Scott's journey to the South Pole? Show evidence from the text to support your answer. I think I might have written the question a little bit different in the packet, but the concept was the same. What we want to know is, what does the author, in your opinion, what does the author think based on what they wrote about Scott's journey to the South Pole? Like, do they think it was a good idea? Do they think it was a bad idea? Do they think it was a success or a failure? Make sure you answer that question with your topic sentence, then provide evidence from the text with examples specifically from the text, either quoting accurately or paraphrasing correctly, and then make sure you have a concluding sentence as well in your answer. Thanks so much for taking the time again to watch today. Hope you're having a great whatever day you are watching this on, and I will talk to you again soon. Stay safe out there.